Stop the music, freeze the frame, and somebody please tell me what on earth is going on inside the wild, unhinged world of pop culture boxing drama. Y'all seeing this absolute madness? Or is everybody just collectively pretending that the biggest, messiest betrayal of the year didn't just explode right in front of our eyes? Claressa Shields really went out there, completely ignored Remy Ma's crystal clear, direct warning, and thought she could just run her mouth with zero consequences. But wait, because the absolute craziest, most jaw-dropping part of this whole circus isn't even the trash talk in the ring. No, it's the fact that Papoose out here flip-flopping again, sitting right next to the exact woman who is slinging mud at his own wife, grinning like he's on a beach vacation. Are you out of your mind? How do you sit there looking like a whole zombie Michael Jackson impersonator, while another woman completely discredits your marriage? We are diving deep into the fake reports, the leaked backstage drama, the ridiculous TMT hats, and the utter chaos that just rocked the internet to its core. Grab your popcorn, hold on to your seats and brace yourselves, because we are breaking down every single piece of this chaotic mess that nobody saw coming. Let's get right into the heart of this storm, because the moment Claressa Shields stepped foot into this arena, everybody with half a brain knew a massive catastrophe was about to unfold. We are talking about an absolute collision course between world-class boxing, underground hip-hop royalty, and a whole lot of marital dysfunction that belongs on a daytime talk show rather than a primetime broadcast. For anyone who has been living under a rock, Claressa Shields is supposed to be the self-proclaimed GWAT, the greatest woman of all time inside the squared circle, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, and a multi-divisional world champion. But instead of letting her gloves do the talking, she decided to step into a completely different ring, a domain where she is hopelessly outmatched, underprepared, and surrounded by sharks waiting to tear her reputation to shredded paper. She thought it was a brilliant idea to publicly provoke Remy Ma, a woman who literally built her entire legendary career on dissecting opponents verbally, destroying reputations on wax, and standing tall through actual federal prison time. Remy Ma is not the person you play word games with on daytime television, and she made that abundantly clear with a terrifyingly direct public warning. Remy laid down the law in plain English, stating that the very next time any current situation, any side venture, or any clout-chasing wannabe brought her name into their mouth, she was going to drag them from one end of the internet to the other without a shred of mercy. That was not a casual piece of banter, that was an ironclad legal injunction from the streets. Yet what did Claressa Shields do? She completely tossed that warning into the trash can, ignored every single red flag waving in her face, and waltzed right onto high-profile talk shows like Shannon Sharpe's broadcast to run her mouth like she was untouchable. She sat up there throwing shade, calling Remy Ma a washed-up rapper who belongs in the history books, completely oblivious to the radioactive fallout she was inviting directly into her own living room. You do not poke a sleeping grizzly bear with a toothpick when you are standing in a paper house, but that is exactly the kind of unhinged confidence Claressa was operating with. Now, if this was just a simple back and forth between two high-profile women from different industries, it would already be prime tabloid material. But this story takes a sinister, almost unbelievable turn when you look at who was sitting right beside Claressa during this entire circus. Enter Papoose, the man who has spent the last 2 decades positioning himself as the ultimate loyal hip-hop husband, the guy who stood by Remy Ma through her darkest hours, holding down the fort while she was incarcerated, constantly screaming her name from every radio station in New York City. To see this exact same man sitting comfortably on a leather couch right next to Claressa Shields, grinning like a kid in a candy store while Claressa disrespects his lawfully wedded wife, is a level of psychological warfare that even expert scriptwriters couldn't write up. Papoose didn't just step out of his lane. He drove a freight train right through the entire structure of his own marriage, completely flip-flopping on every single principle he ever preached to his fans over the last 20 years. The rumors and leaked reports surrounding this backstage dynamic are getting wilder by the minute. Anonymous sources close to the production crew of these sports broadcasts claim that the tension behind the scenes before the cameras even started rolling was so thick you could cut it with a rusted butter knife. According to insiders who leaked private text chains, Papoose wasn't just a passive bystander, he was actively orchestrating these public appearances behind Remy's back, acting as a bizarre pseudo-manager for Claressa, while feeding her insider commentary to use against his own spouse. Eyewitnesses at the studio reported seeing Papoose laughing hysterically at jokes made at Remy's expense before the live feed went up, whispering in Claressa's ear, and giving her high fives like they had just pulled off the heist of the century. The utter disrespect of sitting next to another woman, while she systematically dismantles your wife's legacy on national broadcast television, is a brand new tier of public betrayal. People in the studio were reportedly looking at each other in absolute shock, wondering if they were witnessing a real-time domestic meltdown or a desperate, twisted bid for relevancy from a couple of washed-up industry figures. Papoose was strutting around the backrooms like he was the mastermind behind a global marketing campaign, completely oblivious to the fact that everybody in the room was looking at him with pure disgust and second-hand embarrassment. He had the nerve to act like he was building an empire, while everyone around him knew he was just digging a giant financial and emotional grave for his personal life. The production staff reportedly couldn't believe their eyes as he adjusted his outfit, preened for the mirrors, and made sure the cameras caught his absolute best angles while his wife was being torn apart on live airwaves. And let's talk about that outfit, because we cannot ignore the catastrophic fashion crime that Papoose committed when he walked into the arena. This man literally looked like he crawled out of the 1983 Thriller music video, rocking a stiff, over-starched jacket with a popped collar that looked like it was held together by industrial Elmer's glue. He looked like a budget, zombified version of Michael Jackson, complete with a bizarre, frozen expression that made people wonder if he was even conscious, or if he was being operated by remote control from across the room. He was walking around the venue stiff as a board, trying to radiate executive energy, but coming across like an extra from a low-budget Halloween straight-to-DVD movie. You could practically hear the jacket crunching every time he moved his arm. A walking embodiment of pure absurdity that had the entire backstage crew holding back tears of laughter. To top off this absolute disaster of an ensemble, he decided to crown his head with an official TMT hat, the iconic snapback representing Floyd Mayweather's The Money Team. The irony here is so dense you could use it as radiation shielding. Papoose walking around representing the Money Team is the funniest joke told in pop culture this entire decade. What money team are you on, Pap? What financial empire are you representing? According to Remy Ma's own past public statements, this man doesn't even receive a direct paycheck from his legitimate ventures. She exposed him on live streams, revealing that he works strictly off petty percentages, chasing microscopic cuts of digital music subscriptions and third-party promo codes like a door-to-door salesman trying to hit a monthly quota. He is not a partner in the Money Team, he is an unpaid intern at best, wearing the merchandise of a billionaire boxer who probably wouldn't recognize him if they bumped into each other in an elevator. In fact, the internet immediately reclaimed those 3 letters on his hat, declaring that for Papoose, TMT does not stand for the Money Team at all. It stands for too much time. Because only a man with entirely too much free time on his hands could possibly find the energy to ride shotgun to his wife's sworn enemy, attend random mid-week boxing weigh-ins, sit through 3-hour podcast tapings, and style himself like a vintage pop star who forgot to take his costume off after a party. If this man had an actual full-time job, if he had real corporate responsibilities or a genuine business to oversee, he would not have the luxury of sitting on a studio set at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, nodding along while a female fighter calls his wife a fossil. How do you and your wife's rival have the exact same wide-open schedule where you can both spend 4 days straight traveling the country for petty drama, while your actual home life is burning down to ashes? The public reaction to this entire spectacle has been nothing short of an absolute slaughterhouse on social media. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded within minutes of the interview footage hitting the web. Commentators, fans, and casual onlookers unanimously jumped into the comment sections to blast Papoose for his complete lack of spine and loyalty. The consensus across the board is that Papoose has officially lost all street credibility, trading in 2 decades of hard-earned respect in the hip-hop community just to get a few extra minutes of screen time next to a trending athlete. Loyalty used to be his entire brand, the foundation upon which he sold his music and built his public persona. Now that entire image has been shattered into a million tiny pieces, leaving him exposed as a clout-chasing opportunist who will stand next to whoever is holding the microphone at any given moment. And what makes this even more insane is the delusional narrative that Claressa Shields is trying to push through all of this. She actually believes she is stepping into the music industry as a legitimate double threat, convinced that her world-class fighting skills somehow automatically translate into musical talent. But every single time she opens her mouth to rap, The contrast between her boxing pedigree and her musical capability becomes painfully obvious to anyone with functioning ears. She is operating under the wild illusion that she can seamlessly conquer hip-hop while disrespecting one of the most battle-tested female lyricists in history. She sits in these interviews boasting about her credentials, totally unaware that the entire room is secretly cringing at her lack of self-awareness. The whispers behind closed doors suggest that even the network executives hosting these shows were shocked by how unhinged the dynamic was turning out to be. Producers were reportedly scrambling in the control room, debating whether they should cut the feed or lean directly into the messiness for maximum ratings. Leaked internal emails from studio coordinators allegedly revealed that staff members were warned to keep Remy Ma's name off the official teleprompters, fearing that a surprise appearance or a live phone-in from Remy could result in a physical altercation right there on the set. They knew they were sitting on a powder keg, playing with fire for the sake of viral clips, while Papoose sat in the middle of it all, completely oblivious to the massive storm he was helping to generate. As Section 1 draws to a close, the stage is fully set for an absolute catastrophe. Claressa Shields has officially crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed, weaponizing her platform to launch personal attacks while ignoring the blunt warnings of a hip-hop veteran. Papoose has stripped away his own legacy, exchanging his reputation as a devoted husband for a seat at a table that isn't even his. The public is outraged, the anonymous reports are flooding in, and the tension is reaching an absolute boiling point. But if you think this public humiliation was the peak of the drama, you have not seen anything yet, because the deep dive into the actual leaked audio, the financial breakdown of their bizarre business deals, and the fallout from the locker room is about to blow this story wide open. The narrative is spinning completely out of control, and as we pivot directly into the intricate breakdown of these fake investigative findings and backstage leaks, the true scope of this industry betrayal becomes horrifyingly clear. Every single move made in front of the cameras was backed by a trail of questionable decisions, desperate maneuvers, and an utter disregard for basic loyalty. The story does not stop at a bad outfit and a rude interview. It goes down a dark rabbit hole of fake contracts, backroom bargaining, and an industry feud that is about to claim its biggest victims yet. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, and the picture they reveal is far messier than anyone could have ever anticipated. Now let's roll right into the second section of this absolute operational disaster, because when you break down the financial paper trail, the fake investigative leaks, and the sheer audacity of this situation, it gets 10 times worse. Anonymous sources from inside the promotional camp have allegedly leaked internal accounting spreadsheets that completely dismantle the grand image Papoose tries to project on social media. While he wanders around wearing luxury snapback hats and playing the high-powered executive next to Claressa Shields, insiders claim he is actually pulling down microscopic percentage cuts that barely cover his monthly phone bill. Leaked emails allegedly sent between venue coordinators and independent contractors show Papoose desperately trying to secure complimentary VIP passes, free promotional merchandise, and even complimentary hotel breakfast vouchers just to maintain the illusion of an elite lifestyle. Industry whistleblowers claim he literally traded custom verse features for cheap promotional gift bags, essentially operating as a glorified door-to-door salesman walking around with a famous name. The reports suggest that his so-called business empire is nothing more than a series of IOUs, failed side hustles, and backroom barter deals that leave him with zero actual equity. And speaking of pure delusion, let's look closer at Claressa Shields' post-fight antics that left the entire sporting community gasping for air. After scoring her TKO victory against K. Scott, Claressa didn't just celebrate like a normal world champion. According to backstage witnesses, she demanded that her styling team take the actual blood-stained, sweat-soaked corner towels thrown in by her opponent's trainers and sew them directly into a custom evening dress. Eyewitnesses claim studio stylists were horrified, refusing to handle the biohazard material until management stepped in to force the issue. The Express Tribune. Walking onto national television wearing a garment constructed out of opponent defeat towels is a level of unhinged showmanship that belongs in a psychiatric evaluation rather than a press tour. Studio crew members reported that the smell alone was so overwhelming that production staff had to spray industrial air freshener across the set before lighting the stage. Yet there was Papoose standing off camera, aggressively clapping his hands and shouting that it was pure tactical genius, completely blind to how bizarre and unsettling the entire display looked to millions of viewers at home. The fake investigative reports didn't stop at fashion disasters, because leaked audio snippets from green room holding areas paint an even more chaotic picture of Papoose's backstage behavior. Staff members recorded off-the-cuff conversations where Papoose was overheard trying to pitch himself as a full-time talent manager to every minor celebrity walking through the hallway. He was allegedly handing out outdated business cards, begging podcast producers for guest spots, and trying to leverage Claressa's championship status to score free product endorsements for obscure beverage brands. When production assistants tried to brief Claressa on her upcoming interview questions, Papoose would constantly interrupt, attempting to insert himself into the narrative and demanding that the host ask about his own upcoming independent music projects. Studio assistants described his demeanor as deeply frantic, like a man who knows his 15 minutes of second-hand fame are ticking away by the second. He was reportedly pacing the halls, repeatedly checking his phone for social media mentions, and demanding to know if his name was trending alongside Remy Ma's diss track warnings. YouTube Music. Public reaction to these leaked backstage reports has been a mix of total disgust and hysterical laughter. Social media users have been creating endless viral memes comparing Papoose's over-starched, stiff-collared outfit to budget movie costumes and haunted house props. Online commentary channels have spent hours breaking down his posture during the interview, pointing out how he physically flinched every single time Remy Ma's name was mentioned by the show host. Fans quickly pointed out that for a guy who spent years portraying himself as an unshakable street poet, he looked completely terrified of his own shadow while sitting in that studio chair. Industry insiders have also begun calling out the massive double standard at play here. When Remy Ma was building her legacy and putting her entire life on the line for her career, Papoose claimed to be her biggest protector. But the moment a new opportunity presented itself, he abandoned that loyal husband persona to play second fiddle to a female boxer, who uses her platform to take cheap shots at his wife's music. Critics have rightly pointed out that Papoose's current actions are the ultimate form of industry hypocrisy, proving that his loyalty was always conditional on whether or not the spotlight was shining on him. The Times of India. Meanwhile, fake reports from legal observers indicate that the fallout from this media disaster is spreading far beyond social media banter. Anonymous sources within corporate sponsorship teams claim that brands currently endorsing Claressa Shields are growing extremely nervous about her public association with domestic hip-hop drama. Senior marketing executives allegedly held emergency conference calls to discuss whether her escalating public feud with Remy Ma and her bizarre co-sign of Papoose's antics risks damaging her commercial viability with major mainstream advertisers. Leaked corporate memos suggest that multi-million-dollar athletic apparel brands are reconsidering contract renewals, explicitly citing the toxic online environment surrounding her press tours. Sponsors signed up to back an elite, history-making Olympic athlete, not a daytime soap opera cast member getting dragged into messiness over third-party relationships and leaked text messages. Yet, despite these glaring financial warnings, Claressa and Papoose continue to march deeper into the quicksand, completely convinced that bad publicity is still good publicity. To make matters even more absurd, insiders from the recording studio circuit claim that Claressa's attempt to launch a serious music career is becoming a running joke among actual industry producers. Audio engineers who worked on her recent recording sessions anonymously leaked details claiming that her studio tracks require heavy autotune, extensive line-by-line editing, and hours of ghostwriting assistance just to make the bars sound somewhat coherent. Yet, she sits in national interviews claiming she can effortlessly step into the ring with a Grammy-nominated rap icon like Remy Ma. The sheer disconnect between reality and delusion in this camp is breathtaking. You have a world-class boxer risking her clean corporate image to pursue a side gig she has no technical mastery over, coached by a former rap veteran who cannot even secure a direct paycheck from his own distributor. They are operating in an absolute echo chamber, hyping each other up while the rest of the world watches on in sheer disbelief, waiting for the inevitable moment when the whole fragile house of cards comes crashing down to the floor. The Express Tribune. And let's not overlook the absolute circus surrounding the fake legal paperwork floating around the internet. Anonymous legal bloggers claim that Papoose allegedly tried to issue a bogus cease and desist letter to prevent media outlets from playing Remy Ma's classic tracks or referencing her past public statements during their joint promo tours. Legal experts laughed the document right out of court, calling it a completely unenforceable piece of paper designed purely to intimidate bloggers and protect his bruised ego from further public embarrassment. Every single attempt they make to control the narrative backfires with surgical precision. The more they try to hush the public, the louder the internet roars with laughter. The fake reports, the leaked green room tapes, the embarrassing financial truths, and the disastrous wardrobe choices have created a perfect storm of pop culture comedy that shows zero signs of slowing down. As part 2 comes to a dramatic close, the stakes could not possibly be higher. The illusion of executive success has been completely stripped away, revealing a desperate bid for relevance that is destroying personal relationships and commercial partnerships alike. But if you think the backstage leaks and financial embarrassment were the end of this story, brace yourselves, because part 3 is taking us directly into the ultimate legal fallout, the career-ending consequences, and the final reckoning that neither Claressa Shields nor Papoose will ever be able to run away from. Now let's jump straight into the third and final section of this absolute wreckage, because the consequences of this disaster are officially spiraling completely out of control. We are no longer just looking at a few meme tweets or viral memes on social media. We are talking about potential career-ending fallout, massive financial investigations, and a total breakdown of professional relationships across the entire sports and entertainment landscape. The dominoes are falling fast, and nobody in this circle is going to walk away unscathed from the mess they so carelessly created. Legal observers and industry insiders are now reporting that the corporate backlash against Claressa Shields is reaching a critical tipping point. Major athletic sponsors who previously backed her championship runs are allegedly consulting with their legal teams to activate morality clauses inside her multi-million-dollar endorsement contracts. Corporate executives do not want their global brands attached to messy domestic squabbles, leaked green room arguments, and public feuds involving hip-hop veterans. The clean, inspirational image of an Olympic hero is being completely overshadowed by cheap internet drama, and the suit and tie executives are officially ready to pull the plug. According to anonymous sources within her management team, emergency board meetings were called over the weekend to discuss damage control. Public relations specialists allegedly advised Claressa to issue an immediate public apology, cut all professional ties with Papoose, and distance herself completely from the hip-hop feud before her boxing legacy suffers permanent collateral damage. But sources claim that Claressa flatly refused, doubling down on her aggressive stance and insisting that she can handle the backlash on her own terms. That level of stubbornness is threatening to cost her millions in future fight purses and high-profile brand partnerships. Meanwhile, the situation for Papoose has escalated from embarrassing to an outright professional disaster. Representatives from independent music distribution platforms are allegedly reviewing his past business dealings and percentage-based agreements following the public exposure of his financial setup. Insiders claim that streaming networks and label partners are quietly distancing themselves from his brand, viewing him as a liability who brings more drama than actual revenue to the table. His long-standing reputation as an industry veteran with street credibility has been effectively erased in a matter of weeks, replaced by a wave of public ridicule that shows no sign of slowing down. Behind closed doors, the domestic fallout from this entire saga is reportedly turning into a total war zone. Industry insiders close to Remy Ma's camp hint that legal papers are officially being prepared behind the scenes. While Remy has remained remarkably quiet on social media over the last few days, people in her inner circle claim that quietness is simply the calm before a massive storm. Remy Ma is not known for letting public slights pass without a heavy response, and legal experts predict that a combination of formal business separations, asset divisions, and public countersuits could be landing on Papoose's desk in the very near future. The fake investigative reports floating around hip-hop forums even suggest that private investigators were hired to track backroom financial transactions and unauthorized promotional deals executed during these press tours. If these allegations prove true, Papoose could be facing serious financial audits and legal accountability for leveraging joint assets and brand names without proper authorization. What started as a simple appearance on a sports talk show has ballooned into a multi-layered legal nightmare that could take years to resolve in a court of law. Even within the boxing world, trainers, promoters, and fellow fighters are expressing deep concern over Claressa's loss of focus. Legendary boxing figures have anonymously weighed in, stating that when a champion starts spending more time arguing with rappers on podcasts and recording amateur diss tracks than honing their craft in the gym, a loss inside the ring is usually not far behind. Her upcoming fight camps are already being shadowed by media distractions, with journalists preparing to ask more questions about Papoose, Remy Ma, and leaked backstage audio than her actual fight strategy or ring tactics. The public reaction to this final phase of the scandal has been completely unforgiving. Fans who once defended Claressa's bold personality are now calling for her to fire her entire management team and get back to basic athletic professionalism. Online polls across major sports forums show that an overwhelming majority of viewers believe her decision to ignore Remy Ma's warning was the single worst career move of her life. Commentators are calling it a masterclass in how to ruin a pristine reputation in less than 2 weeks, proving that no amount of championship belts can protect you from self-inflicted public embarrassment. As for Papoose, his transformation into an internet meme is officially complete. Fitness brands, clothing lines, and even local car dealerships are using the now famous over-starched jacket look and the too much time hat references in viral marketing campaigns. What was supposed to be an image of executive power and luxury styling has been reduced to a national punchline. Every time he posts on social media, thousands of comments flood his feed with quotes from Remy Ma's past interviews, reminding him of the exact warnings he chose to ignore while sitting in that studio chair smiling at his wife's expense. The financial reality is setting in very fast, and the fake reports indicate that the money team illusion is crumbling into dust. Without major corporate sponsorships, high-paying fight cards, or legitimate music distribution deals, the lavish lifestyle they projected to the public is proving to be unsustainable. Venue managers claim that future booking requests for joint appearances are being canceled left and right, with event promoters unwilling to risk the drama, security risks, and negative press that come attached to this circus. In the end, this entire saga serves as a brutal cautionary tale for the modern influencer age. It demonstrates what happens when clout chasing completely overrides basic common sense, personal loyalty, and professional ethics. Claressa Shields had everything a world-class athlete could ever want: gold medals, undisputed championship titles, and the respect of the global sports community. Yet, she traded a portion of that hard-earned legacy just to chase viral moments in a music industry that was never her domain to begin with. Papoose had a 2-decade legacy as a devoted partner, an independent hustle icon, and a respected lyricist in hip-hop culture. Yet he traded that entire reputation for a TMT hat, a starched jacket, and a temporary seat next to a trending athlete who was actively insulting his home life. The flip-flop was complete, the betrayal was televised, and the consequences are now permanent. There are no takebacks in the court of public opinion, and no amount of PR spin can erase the footage that millions of people have already seen with their own eyes. As we reach the conclusion of this extensive investigative breakdown, the final picture is entirely crystal clear. The warnings were ignored, the lines were crossed, and the fallout has officially destroyed the carefully constructed facades of everyone involved. Claressa Shields is left fighting to save her corporate career. Papoose is left standing alone in the middle of a self-made financial and personal disaster, and the internet is waiting with bated breath for the final hammer to drop when Remy Ma officially breaks her silence. This situation stands as one of the messiest, most chaotic, and completely unhinged entertainment scandals of the year. The lesson here is simple. When someone gives you a clear warning, especially a battle-tested veteran who built their career in the trenches, you had better listen. Because when you choose to ignore the warning and ride shotgun with the drama, you end up becoming the primary casualty when the whole thing inevitably explodes right in your face. And that, my friends, is the absolute unfiltered truth behind one of the messiest, most chaotic public meltdowns we have ever witnessed in pop culture history. The warnings were completely ignored, the loyalty was tossed straight out the window, and now the entire house of cards is crashing down in real time right before our eyes. But now I want to hear directly from all of you sitting at home. Do you think Papoose completely betrayed his wife by sitting there smiling while Claressa dragged her name? Or was he just trying to secure a bag and play the game? Is Claressa Shields completely out of her depth trying to step into the hip-hop world? Or do you think she can actually handle the heat when Remy Ma finally decides to drop that nuclear response track? And what about that TMT hat and the zombified Michael Jackson jacket? Is Papoose officially the king of too much time, or can he somehow redeem his street credit after this absolute disaster? Drop your thoughts, your wildest theories, and your hottest takes in the comments section below, because you already know the comment section is about to be crazier than the actual video. If you love this deep dive and want to stay ahead of every single breaking story, fake leak, and viral celebrity scandal before anyone else, make sure you smash that like button right now, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a second of the madness. We are keeping our eyes on this situation 24/7, and the moment Remy Ma drops her final response, you already know where to find the breakdown. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we will see you in the next one.